What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Prop Firm Match, your trusted resource for all things prop firms related. Today, we have quite the special interview. We are joined by John, the CEO of Maven, the prop firm, and we're going to be discussing a lot of things with him. So, John, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me on. I'm kind of honored being the first one here.
Yeah, no, you're definitely making history being the first prop firm to conduct an interview with us. And for, everybody who doesn't know your beginning, how you started, who you are, would you like to give us a little bit of a background as to who you are and how you got into this position?
Yeah, for sure. So my personal background is I'm a technologist. I've been in the tech space for about 20 years now. I was working in the health tech sector, and in 2012, I came across some interesting articles about this stuff called Bitcoin. And I was very interested in it, started to learn about it. And of course, being a technologist, instead of buying it, I decided to mine it. And I got into mining cryptocurrency, which then led me to trading crypto on these rudimentary markets that they had back then in 2012. So like trading Bitcoin for Litecoin, bottle caps, Dogecoin, stuff like that. So that's how I got started with trading. It was all crypto based. I got into crypto in 2012, so way before the pandemic, way before most people even knew what it was. So I was stacking sats like way back when.
Awesome. That's amazing. Wow. So you had a lot of, so somebody with your experience, you've seen it all basically in the, I guess, in the trading space when it comes to crypto and just the evolution over time.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I remember after the first bull market, which was, I can't remember what year, but many years ago. And then after the huge crash, getting used to the emotion of just watching your portfolio grow exponentially and then collapse completely to 90% of its value. It's nothing now. I don't even look at my portfolio anymore. It just grows and crashes, grows and crashes. And, over time, it's just going up on an upwards trajectory. So yeah, I couldn't be happier with that.
Yeah, that's all that matters, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. And so what made you take that leap from, trading crypto to wanting to start a firm?
Sure. So it actually wasn't my idea. When I was trading crypto and when I was mining crypto, this was back when I was in school, and I was going to school with a fellow you might know named Chris Hunter, who was the original CEO of Maven. And I introduced him to crypto. And he, instead of looking more at the mining aspect of it, the technology aspect of it, he was more fascinated by the trading part of crypto. And after we finished school, he basically pursued trading where I pursued technology. I continued to go with down the path of tech. I was already in the technology space for about 10 years, and I wanted to continue with that with my new education. I had better skills now. And I quickly rose the ranks to CTO within different companies, and he just continued trading. So he actually approached me back in 2022. And he said, John, I have a project that I want to work on, and I think you'd be the perfect person to take over the technology of it. I'm like, okay, well, what is it? He's like, well, it's prop firm. We want to start a prop firm. Me and this other guy that I met, Seb. And so I didn't know what a prop firm was. So he showed me what FTMO was. He showed me, a little bit in the space. And it took me a little bit to wrap my head around, and I was like, yeah, okay, sure, yeah, I'll totally do this. I'm very interested in getting started and realizing a dream with Chris and seeing if we could actually make something of it. So I hopped on as CTO, and yeah, I guess the rest is history.
That's amazing. That's super amazing. It's interesting how you guys had a bit of history before all of this, and like everything kind of comes full circle, and here you guys are running this ship together. That's quite impressive. Being a CEO is quite, a big title and a big task and a big job. I know you and Hunter kind of started this together, but what was the initial vision and how has it changed, over time?
Sure. So the initial vision was when we were going to start out, we were going to be a crypto-centric prop firm because that's what we knew. I knew crypto, Hunter knew Forex. By the way, if I use Chris and Hunter interchangeably, that's because I'm an old friend of Chris, so I always call him by Chris. But professionally, I try to call him Hunter because I know that's what he prefers. But yeah, so we wanted to start up a crypto-centric prop firm, but it seemed that more traffic was in the Forex space, and Hunter was very familiar with the Forex space as well. So we went down that path. Now, I'm sure your next question is going to be, well, if you started off as CTO, how did you become CEO? Well, earlier on, I was telling you that I already had 10 years plus, working in corporations. And Hunter, a professional trader with a great education background, we basically, I would say that, we hit a point where it just made sense for us to pivot roles in the executive team. It made sense that I would come in with more corporate experience and Hunter would leverage his strength as a trader and as a community officer. So now he holds the role of chief community officer, and he basically manages our partners. He does our spaces. He's basically the face of the company, in, for lack of better words, in a lot of cases. I do some external stuff like I am right now, but a lot of what I do is actually internal, managing risk and making sure that the team is all working quite nicely together.
Wow. That is, again, quite impressive because when you look at how some of the dynamics and relationships are between some firms or even like internally, you get to sometimes hear how one person wants to retain a certain position or the other person wants to bring their own idea. But it seems like you and Hunter have a great dynamic going on. And it really like, I guess it begs the question for me, what would you say the culture at the firm is like then? With the way you guys are leading, and what are some values that are meaningful to you that I guess helps you run the firm with the culture that is currently there?
I mean, there's a couple of different aspects to our culture. I would say one of the most amazing things is that we learned early on to lose the egos, where we all win or we all lose. It's as simple as that. So, I mean, that really lends itself to the case where, Hunter and I pivoted roles. It just seemed at the time that having me as CEO was the right move. Hunter was he was fully in acceptance with that. He's like, yeah, this makes sense, right? So we're all here for the same vision, right? We all want to succeed. So it's whoever does the best job in whatever role that they might take. I'm not saying that very gracefully. I would say that the best person for the job will take that role given that specific time, because things might evolve in the future, right? To also add to our culture is that we have adopted an officeless culture. I've had lots of experience with remote working, as do pretty much every single trader on the planet. I've been working remotely since 2016. And one of the amazing things that we were able to achieve by having a remote working environment, completely 100%, no offices, is that when we're hiring or we're looking for people to take on a new role at the firm, we don't just have a local community that we can leverage. We have a global community. So we really get to pick and choose the best people for the job, whatever that role may be.
Wow, that is interesting. When I hear you discuss or explain the culture, the officeless culture and things like that, when you have people in person or a workplace where people are interacting in person, there's usually a different culture because of the face-to-face interactions. Since you're doing this remotely, what are some values that you hold dear to your heart that you've used to still kind of keep that culture as tightly knit as possible?
Sure, that's a great question. I mean, to foster that type of closeness amongst the team members, we are always in meetings, face-to-face video meetings, like whether it be Zoom, Google Meet, Microsoft Teams. I mean, it's just phenomenal what you can do with face-to-face video meetings. We wouldn't be able to do it without that. Like phone calls wouldn't cut it. We use specific tools like virtual whiteboards where we can, draw certain ideas up and we can really discuss certain plans that we have. And I would say one of the unique things that we have at Maven, and I'm sorry, I'm kind of diverting away from your question here, is that we have 5 executives and each one of our exec team has a different specialty. Each one of us really excels in that specialty. And the beautiful thing about it is that whenever we make large decisions that are firm-wide, we get a different perspective from every single person in our exec team. And sometimes we also reach out to our employees, to our directors, the ones in customer support to find out what traders think. And that's how we formulate all of our decisions at Maven.
Wow. That's incredible. Sounds like you guys have a really well-oiled machine that you guys have built together over time. And sometimes when people hear these stories or they hear things like this, they think it was always like that. For those who don't know what it takes to start a firm or how much you guys have, let's say, plowed through to get here, what was it like in the early days, scaling and challenges? How did you overcome some of the things that you were faced with?
Sure. So I would say the growth itself was a challenge. Hunter positioned Maven so well. When we first hit the market, the growth was just insane. The amount of traders day after day that we would have more and more and more. And I would say that there was a moment in time back in September 2022, and I'm sure we'll talk about this more. Sorry, not 2022, 2023. And I'm sure we'll talk about this more throughout this interview, where we purposely pumped the brakes on our growth. We actually said, 1 second here, we need to take a sanity check. Like, is this a healthy business model? Are our challenge parameters correct? Is this sustainable? And we decided that the best way to do that was to pump the brakes on growth, which we did purposely. I don't know any other firms that have done that. I'm not saying that no other firm has done that, but for us, that's what seemed to be the best possible thing. And looking back in hindsight, I would say that was a great idea. And we decided to grow a little bit more slowly through slow ethical marketing.
Wow. I love to hear that. I love the fact that even though you guys were experiencing such a rapid growth, you took a step back to say, wait, let's just still make sure, all the bolts are screwed in properly and things like that. That's amazing. Was there any point during this process where you felt like, you know what, maybe this may not work, or, did anything like that come up? And if it did, how did you guys push through it as a company?
Yeah, sure. Great question. So, to actually add to what I was just saying, we pumped the brakes. The signal to us to pump the brakes was when the whole MFF incident happened in September 2023.
Mm.
And we're like, okay, 1 second. We want to take a step back here. We want to make sure that our growth is sustainable. We want to make sure that our business model is sustainable. And we want to ensure that everything that we're doing is, I guess to say, on the up and up, and that we have all of our terms and conditions, everything in place that fosters a good business environment and a good trading
Hmm.
environment for the trader. So we actually shut down sales to every single country except for Nigeria for a period of about 1 month while we basically got legal advice. We reached out, we got our legal team together, and we wanted to make sure that everything that, like I said, that we were doing was on the up and up. Once we got an extensive opinion, we then reopened to the rest of the world. And during that period of time, I would say that it was a true test of financial sanity. We were able to make it through that time without any sales. And we realized, okay, 1 second here, we actually kind of have a head on our shoulders and we know it seems like we know what we're doing. And like it validated our experience. And from then, we've always been very mindful in terms of making sure that our parameters are what we believe they are and always doing sanity checks without needing to stop any revenue.
Wow, that's again just everything that you are saying is, from a trader's perspective and from being on this side of the industry, it's very impressive to hear. And when you mentioned my Forex funds and when that situation happened, none of us were prepared. And it kind of helped me or got me thinking, was there any time during this process, you kind of touched on it already, but was there any other time in the process where you felt like, or not felt like, but you were faced with a challenge you didn't expect, like just something that just came out of left field?
Yeah. So what we did when MFF happened, because that did kind of blindside us, as it did a lot of people, we decided at that point that we needed to have backups on backups. And that's kind of like, that's our technical hidden motto that we don't really talk about. We talk about it sometimes, but it's not our main motto at Maven. But we always have backups for multiple systems, right? We have multiple trading terminals. We have multiple payment providers. We have multiple, pretty
Mm.
much everything that we could think of. We have multiple directors. So if one of us falls ill, the other four of us can then step in and take the other one's place. I think we've done quite well in, I mean, I'm very conservative the way that I speak and the verbiage that I use. I won't say that we're bulletproof, because you never know what's going to happen in the future, but
Mm.
we have definitely set ourselves up for success and resilience for anything that comes in the future.
Love that, love that. And I'm sure all the viewers watching right now who are either currently with you or, thinking about going with your firm would just love hearing that. It just gives us assurance that you guys are going in the right direction. I was just thinking about, again, your whole journey. I find it very fascinating. When you guys were going through this whole process, I can hear how you have all these backups, you guys have all these processes, you guys work together really well, you have a great culture. Is there anything you would have done differently knowing what you know now?
That's a great question. Anything we would have done differently? You know what? I would say no, to be quite honest with you. And this is
Excellent.
rare in life for me to say that, because there's always something in hindsight that you could have done differently. But I don't know if it was just luck on our side, if it was just the right thoughts at the right times. But it seems that all the moves that we made were the right ones. And we feel very comfortable in the position that we are right now. We know that we're sustainable. We know that our traders are happy. The amount of traders that we have now is just absolutely insane. And yeah, we did stop earlier growth. We could have been, I don't
Mhm.
know, much larger than we are now, 2, 3 times larger. However, I wouldn't change any of it. And I can tell you right now, I definitely speak for the rest of the team. We're all on board with that.
Amazing, absolutely amazing. Maven has gained quite a fair share of the market, bringing competitive pricing, your approach to how challenges, and then like you guys have brought a different flavor to the market. And I was just asking if you can elaborate on how you managed to kind of gain the success.
We manage it well. I can answer this in 2 ways. How did we gain the success? Well, I would say we gain success through being consistent. At the end of the day, any trader that comes through our door, they know that if they make it to payout, which a lot of them do, they're going to get paid
Mhm.
out. It's as simple as that. They're not only are they going to get paid out, but they're going to get paid out with no delay. They're going to get it within, I think our average payout time is approximately 6 hours or less. I don't know the exact time, but it's rapid. It's very fast.
Yeah,
I see all the time reviews of people saying that they're getting their payout within 30 minutes. So I mean, stuff like that is definitely contributes to growth. In terms of maintaining that growth, that's something that is secondary for us, to be quite honest with you. I know that that is a primary focus for a lot of companies. However, our primary focus is sustainability. And we truly believe that with sustainability, growth will naturally occur.
agreed, agreed, absolutely. And with Maven being, again, having a good share of the market and being focused on being sustainable, how does Maven keep itself competitive in a industry where new technology is always coming out, new features, changes, rules, all these things are happening? How do you guys stay competitive in the market?
Sure. I think that or not to toot my own horn here, but because I come from a technologist background, because I come from a software engineering background, I've learned to be a little bit more conservative when it comes to adopting changes with our technology.
Mm.
Always make sure that you have backups upon backups, but also make sure that things are vetted properly. When we bring in a new terminal, even for example, we brought in C Trader. We knew that C Trader was a fantastic terminal when we brought it on. We actually tested it through a beta to make sure that we would get the reaction that we wanted from our traders. We didn't just launch it out into the market. We tested it out. We did the same thing with Match Trader, and they've been a fantastic partner to work with as well. We always run betas, and I would say that that's one of the most important things that a firm can do. Risk management is another thing that we always keep
Yeah.
our eye on the ball. Whether it's different software, different payment providers, or your trading parameters, you want to make sure that your risk is always managed.
Amazing. For everybody, like I was saying earlier, who's watching you, I know, I said before, you guys have a great share in the market, but there are some people who are, always, for example, with us, we get questions every day. What's the best prop firm to go with, and which prop firm should we go with? How would you say, or what would you say differentiates Maven from other prop firms?
Sure. I would say one of the things is our simplified model. We offer a 2 step and a 1 step challenge. We're pretty simple in that way, but it gets traders from point A to point Z, and it gets them what they want. At the end of the day, everyone's here for, to become a better trader and to get a payout. We and our traders achieve that objective with our simplified model. Obviously, it goes without saying, our prices are competitive. We achieve that through massive volume that we have. I don't think we would be able to keep those prices as they were without the massive volume that we have. And I would say to move slowly. Like I was saying before, we don't adopt new things that quickly unless it's like absolutely night and day, like you know that you need to adopt whatever this change is. But we move very slowly, and our traders have learned over time that we're very consistent. And I think at the end of the day, that's what traders want. They want to see that their firm that they've chosen is going to be consistent. They don't want any surprises. And that's what we bring to the table.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with that as well. Well said. Picking your brain here because we're speaking to the CEO of a firm. What are some things that you have noticed, if you can share, about trading behavior with the traders who trade at your prop firm? Like sometimes you'll look at some stats and they'll say stuff like most traders are actually, let's say, risking 1%, who are like getting to pay out. And you'll see another statistic that says like majority of traders who are not passing are over trading or maybe like taking 20 trades a day. So something along those lines. Is there anything that you've noticed that you're able to share? If not, of course.
Sure, yeah. I would say that the overall trait that we see amongst traders that make it to payout and consistent payouts is patience. We can see it in the trade data. They dip their toes in the water. I'm not saying that there aren't those that are profitable that don't just jump in all the way. There are.
Mm-hmm.
They exist. But I would say overall, the higher percentage of profitability are those with patience.
I agree. I agree. Just like you said, that patience, that maturity, that's really one of the main factors and pillars you need for anything to be sustainable and for it to work out. So thank you for sharing that. Just from your own personal opinion, are there any personality traits that you feel like one needs in order to become a successful trader?
Sure. So just goes back to what I said. I would say patience is one. Being able to take a loss gracefully. It is so incredibly important. And I mean, that goes without saying. It's not just with trading, it's with business. You have to not be afraid of failure and not be too hard on yourself. People can actually find value in their failures. When you fail at something, you can get a lesson out of it. And then you can avoid that same mistake, on the next time around. So, I mean, the most profitable traders out there have failed so many times. That's just part of the
True.
learning experience.
Absolutely, I agree. And when you talk about all the, failure that not all the failure per se, but like how somebody has to fail and can learn a lot from their failure, it kind of makes me think about Maven as a prop firm, some of the tools that they offer. So, for example, some prop firms have educational segments or sides to their prop firm where you can go and access those tools and resources. How does Maven, outside of trading activities, what else do they offer? Do they offer things like mentorship or educational resources for traders?
Sure. So, I mean, first and foremost, to be successful at any prop firm, you have to understand the rules. And we
True.
find that communicating in many different ways is the best way to educate our traders on, what Maven expects. Now, we don't have a lot of rules to begin with, but it's very important that what we do have is very well laid out. So we offer our FAQ section. We have it on Discord and our website. We have Hunter making videos, explainer videos, breaking down each and every little thing, which we share on our YouTube channel, on Discord. We make all those resources available for traders. So that's number one, is the rules. Second thing I would say is, basic trading techniques, which, Hunter does give on his YouTube channel. Everyone has their own style when it comes to, being a trader, but by looking at other traders and seeing what they do, you might be able to gain a little bit of insight. And then finally, and I would say that this is probably one of the most important things, is Maven has an in-house trading psychologist, and we have weekly sessions on our YouTube channel where anyone can come for free. It doesn't have to be for just Maven traders. It could be for anyone who's trading crypto, trading Forex, trading futures, whatever they want. It's all about psychology, and it's all about trading psychology and how to get control of your emotions. We also have it once a month on our Spaces live, where people can ask their questions live, which is, I think, a fantastic thing. But I think that's one of the best resources that Maven gives to the community, and of course, that's 100% free.
Yeah, that's absolutely wonderful. You even tackled my next question I was going to ask you about how important psychology was, and you touched deeply on that. So that's amazing. It's really refreshing to hear that a prop firm not only, like you said earlier, makes the rules pretty straightforward and doesn't have too many, but you're also providing resources to give the traders the most tools you can to help them succeed. Just shows your intention, and it's such a powerful move. Let's, I guess, kind of bring it all in here with you being, again, the CEO of the prop firm, but you also have trading experience. What advice would you give to traders or anybody who's looking to come into the trading space, especially trading with prop firms? Any advice you could offer them?
Sure. So, I mean, generally speaking, first of all, you have to make sure that the firm that you're dealing with is a good one that fits your training styles. So, I mean, our shameless plug here for PFM. Of course, check review sites, see what makes sense for you. Check out, what the prices are and what you're willing to risk. I would say after that, just take it easy on yourself. Trading on a prop firm is very similar to trading, in a live environment. Learn the markets. Don't be afraid to fail the first couple of times. Be patient with yourself and just take it as a learning process. That's what I would say. Always be learning. That's the most important thing. And essentially, that's what prop firms are here for, right? It's a way to get you onto the market with a lot of simulated capital that you wouldn't normally be able to cover yourself, and to learn the process. And then what you do with that information, what you do with that experience afterwards, that's completely up to you.
Wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Thank you for sharing that advice. And okay, so now I want to switch gears a little bit. With prop firm
Sure.
match being what we are and what we offer, we know what our customers and our users think of us, but we hardly ever get to hear what prop firms think of us. So I would like to ask you, John, what does Maven, or what do you, as the CEO, what do you think of prop firm match?
Yeah, I think proper match is great. You guys were one of the first in the industry. Definitely the first that I interacted so frequently with. We have a great relationship with your staff. The communication is fantastic. I would assume that you have the same sort of lines of communication with other firms, and I think that's great. I would say that you guys have a very tall order in terms of the challenge that you've bitten off as a company, in the sense of maintaining the stats and maintaining the health on so many different firms. That's obviously a daunting task, and it's quite apparent that you've adapted and learned how to do that job quite well. Prop firm match is very professional in the sense that you guys are very careful with your communication online, and you're very fair to all firms and traders at the same time, which is a great thing to see.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that. So I want to ask you and dig a little bit deeper. Two questions. The first one being, what do you think prop firm match means to the industry? And the second part being, what do you think we could improve on?
Sure. So in terms of for the industry, I would say that prop firm match brings something to the table where it gives traders the ability to take a look at all the different pricing, all the different challenge parameters at a glance, which in itself I think is fantastic. But also through your selective process, by being very rigorous before you let a firm onto your list, it also gives the trader a sense of confidence that when they're picking a firm on prop firm match, a lot of the research has already been done for them. So I think that's fantastic. In terms of what I could think of PFM can improve on, I don't really have any input at this time. I think you guys are doing a
That's
great
amazing.
job.
Love to hear it. That's amazing. All right. Here's my last question, I guess, with this segment here. Just from your
Sure.
personal opinion, what do you think differentiates prop for match from other comparison sites?
Well, I won't say this is for every single comparison site because I never use blank slate terms. However, when we first entered the industry, we were approached by a couple of review sites, which required a quite large amount of money to be dropped down to be listed onto their site. I can say for sure that Prop Firm Mash has never asked Maven for a single penny outside of the affiliate commissions. There's never been any favoritism. There's never been any ask for money to show favoritism. Everything has happened organically. And I would say that that is truly an unbiased view and an unbiased way to approach your segment that you're, basically it's the proper way to do business.
Again, appreciate the feedback. Thank you very much for that. We at Prop for Match do our absolute best to maintain fairness, transparency, just making sure that on both ends, whether with prop firms or with the users, everybody's just, you know what I mean, on the same level, everything is good to go. How do you
Okay.
think technology or AI is going to affect the way traders or prop firms operate in the future?
Sure. So, AI is an interesting beast. I could see AI having a huge role in operations of firms in terms of, managing the staff, basically detecting certain patterns from a holistic view across all the traders. But in terms of communications, I would say AI, it will be quite some time before AI can truly replace customer service in firms. One of the biggest challenges that we face in the prop firm industry is that we're serving a global audience. So
Sure.
it's not like a certain type of person or a certain demographic that we're catering to or a certain country or a certain culture. We have to, tailor make our communications to, fit all of those cultures, all of those demographics at the same time. And I don't believe that AI is quite up to the task just yet to handle such a task.
Got you. I got you. And so what about for trading? You were in the crypto space, you're now in the Forex space. Do you feel like AI will impact the way traders trade at all, or the trading space at all, or
Uh,
just from the operation standpoint?
I think AI will help traders see certain patterns that they're looking for. I don't believe for sure that AI will make at the end of the day, a inexperienced trader profitable, not for quite some time anyways, and maybe not ever. Because if you think of it right, the markets are based on some people gaining, some people losing. And if AI was able to solve that problem and everyone's running AI, well then everything would just be flatline. The markets wouldn't move.
I agree. I agree. I think there's some things you can't really replace. And like you said, I do believe we're quite a bit of ways from AI being able to make that much of an impact in the industry. All right. So as the prop firm industry is changing, growing, evolving, do you believe there's going to be more collaboration with other prop firms in the futures, or do you think that competition is still going to be the way to go?
I think collaboration is going to be the key moving forward. I think the forex space has seen probably the peak of competition. I would say, what we went through in the winter of 2022, 2023, I would guesstimate that that was the peak of competition in terms of the amount of firms out there. It was kind of like a
Yeah.
bubble. And Hunter
Yeah.
actually called this on his spaces quite some time ago, almost a year ago. So I think competition will be less overall. I think that the market is maturing. You know, it's slowly getting there, which is a good thing for traders because with maturity
Yes.
comes stability. And I believe that collaboration is going to be big in the industry. We collaborate with other firms at Maven. We've
Nice.
had discussions with several other firms, and I think we have a great relationship with many of the top firms out there. And we're very thankful for that. And, you know, at the end of the day, this is a very large industry. And,
Yeah.
you know, the top players can all have a slice of the pie. So I don't see why
Yeah.
collaboration wouldn't be key.
I love that. I love the fact that collaboration's already being embraced by, firms out there, especially firms like yourself. I think as a trader and, anybody watching this on that end would be happy to know that this is not a race to the top per se, but more so how we can improve as an industry, which would give more confidence to those who are getting into the proper space and learning to trade and stuff like that. Because like you said, with that maturity comes stability. So that's absolutely wonderful. The last question I
Exactly.
have for you with this segment here is, what advice would you give to anybody who is looking to open a prop firm? Because everybody thinks these things are glorious and amazing and they don't really know what it takes. So any advice you'd like to share on that at all?
Sure. I don't know. I don't know. Well, I would say the first thing would be have a lot of money. Make sure you have a lot of money to be able to pay your traders while you're experimenting and getting your mix right.
Mm,
I don't think it's as easy to get into the space and really make a dent into it as it
yeah,
was, you know, a year and a half ago. 2 years ago or earlier, it's definitely still possible. But I believe that the challenges are much larger now for those trying to enter the space. That being said, with any industry, and I mean, a perfect example is prop firm match, there is so many different spin-offs of complementary and parallel businesses that can be created to facilitate the firms that are already in existence. And I think there's a huge opportunity there, largely untapped, that, you know, there might be some ideas out there where there is no competition at all. And it's just up to,
mm,
you know, a little bit of creativity and a little bit of sweat to, you know, make your dream a reality. And I think that
yeah.
there's a huge opportunity for a lot of people there.
Wow, that's amazing. I love how you're saying like the advice I guess you're giving is not so much what it takes to start a prop firm. You gave some advice on that, but it's like if I were to tell you, maybe you should look at some of the things that we actually need help with right now. I feel like that would be a better overall move for the industry, which is lovely. I love the fact that you provided that. That's amazing. We got the trader side of John. I just got one more for the business side of John. Any advice you'd give
Sure.
to your younger self who was starting out in this business venture at all?
Oh boy. Yeah, I would say be prepared to take some personal losses when getting into business. You know, sometimes you're not going to be able to spend time with your friends. The grind is hard. I don't necessarily recommend this for my employees, but there's many days that I work 16 hours a day, and I'm perfectly happy doing it because that's just part of the ride. So be prepared to grind and be prepared to, you know, make some changes in your life.
That's so awesome. Super awesome. Any final words, John, before we let you get back to your regular activities?
Yeah, for sure. Well, like I said before, feel free to, you know, come check out our YouTube page, check out our free resources. There's no need for you to purchase anything from Maven, but we're more than happy to offer that to the traders. You know, check the different review sites out there, you know, before you make your next purchase. And happy trading.
Awesome. And where can they find you, John? Any personal socials where they can maybe reach out to you, give you a shout, follow?
Sure, yeah. So you could find me at Twitter, Maven underscore CEO. So that's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
I do have an Instagram account as well. I believe I'm CEO underscore of underscore Maven, but I'm not as active on Instagram as I am on Twitter.
No problem. It was lovely speaking to you, John. Thank you so much for your time. And once again, thank you so much for choosing Proper Match.
Thank you so much.